This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean, and Zoe Lyons is with us this morning. You can text the show on 81215, follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio, email the show via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk.
Morning.
I'm dressed all in black in mourning for the death of Steve Wright in the afternoon.
Oh.
Steve Wright always wore black.
Yes.
Always.
Yeah.
Always, yeah. What a terrible decision to get rid of Steve Wright in the afternoon. Wowee.
I can't
Don't
imagine
you
it.
love him? Oh, man. A comedian once asked, I don't know what you think of this, Zoe, a young comedian told me he got his first telly and asked me if I'd got any advice, and I said yes. One thing you have to learn is to handle people who know less about comedy than you telling you how to do comedy. And you can't, because you can't have an argument every time. Find a way around that diplomatically.
You've got to be zen in this business.
Yeah, exactly. Not a thing I ever achieved myself, but something to aim at. Steve Wright in the afternoon. Come on. Anyway, I did that a few times. Did you ever do it, Zoe?
The show?
Yeah.
I did it over the line. I never got to go and do it in the studio because I did it during pandemic periods.
I tell you what was weird. It looked like some bloke you met on a park bench who just made no effort at all. And every time I did it, it was like a really, really good interview, and it just sort of fell off him. Yeah. Like windfall fruit.
Yeah. He's
Anyway.
very skilled. He's very, very skilled man.
He was. Gone now, of course. We're talking as if he's dead.
He's not. I was going to say he's still around.
He is, and he's doing something else, but he's not doing that.
But I tell
Anyway.
you, I'm going to miss him on scaffolders and decorators. Always had Steve Wright in the afternoon, and my afternoon's not going to be the same now, and I can't hear it blaring through the window.
Did they listen to it on radios that had like paint?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, the best kind.
Yeah.
Do you know what, though? He'll have some more free time, and I think I'm trying to get Frank some friends.
Oh, that wouldn't work. I couldn't
Why?
possibly see him outside of that studio. I've never, ever seen him outside of that chair in that studio.
There are certain people. Who else can't you imagine outside of the chair?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Outside of a studio environment. I tell you who I can't imagine outside of a studio environment. John Humphreys. I can't see John
Just walking down the street.
No.
What about Charlie State on BBC Breakfast? I can't imagine him loosening his tie even.
Oh, he has this sort of very dynasty hair, doesn't he? Yeah, lovely.
So
Very handsome.
The Kennedy family is the theme of male presenters on BBC Breakfast for some reason.
Yeah. It's a
By the way,
strong
it's
look.
Pride today, so...
Happy Pride, everyone.
yes, happy Pride.
Representing.
Do people say happy Pride? Yeah, so we got Zoe Lyons here. We thought, you know what we need?
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't book you for that,
Yeah, I
Zoe.
bet.
Oh, I've got a question.
Who's gay and available? I'll get her in.
Gayable.
I'm gayable.
And I've got a question about Pride, about the music that they
Buckle
play.
up, everyone.
I've got a question about the music that they play at Pride.
Okay.
Why are there so many songs about rainbows? That's it. What do you think?
I think it's probably been a while since you've been to Pride.
There aren't any songs about rainbows at Pride.
I mean, there will definitely
There'll be high energy.
Rainbows will be represented. Yeah.
Do people still say high energy as a music genre?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't. Do
banger.
they, Zoe?
High energy.
Well, I think Zoe's the music expert. I mean, that says something.
Oh, boy, I'll tell you what I thought of. Do you remember we used to do, I think they move about the jingle. Oh, here we go. Yeah, whatever happened to popping paper bags in order to surprise someone?
Oh, yeah. That's
gone.
a real old school prank.
It's gone. If anyone's got any experience of this, I'd love to hear from them at 8, 12, 15. And if we can find out if it does indeed, as it is reputed, cure hiccups.
We should add the caveat. Anyone who's still alive who can remember doing that.
Why would that die out? It was brilliant.
They're hard to get these days, though, a little paper bag, unless you nick them from the mushroom area in
Doesn't
a
have to
supermarket.
be. But also,
I mean, for the same
there's
reason,
loads of them there.
powdered egg died out because it's no longer relevant.
What
And
about when you're in the supermarket and you get like 20 brown paper bags on a hook? Reminds me of when we had an outside toilet when I was a child in the West Midlands.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
So did you watch Macca at Glasto?
Yes.
What did you think?
Well, okay.
Oh dear.
Well, no, I mean, hats off. He did a long set, didn't he?
He did do a long
set. He did a long set. But I thought he looked great. He's the same age as my dad, and he did 2 and a bit hours on main stage. But I'm not a massive fan. I've never got over the frog chorus, so I just
You
hope-
are so unforgiving.
I know, I
How
keep
would you do if
yeah.
someone was like that about one of your gags?
Oh no, I mean I'd have no audience left.
Do you know
but-
what? Can I recommend you watch Get Back? And I think it will turn you. Don't you think, Bank? If you watch Get Back, it's, McCartney comes out of that very well.
I was collecting Beatles bubblegum cards in 1964.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of stuck with it.
I mean, that
And there
was appropriate. You chose the right year.
There was a great moment when honesty cut through the night like sheet lightning. When he says, we can tell when the songs that you don't like. He said, because when we do like a Beatles song, he said all the phones go up filming it. He said, and when I did like one of my new songs, nothing. It's just nothing. And I thought, what a great thing to actually draw attention to. I loved him for that. I interviewed Ringo once.
Okay.
And I said, when you meet someone, like when someone comes around your house to mend the radiator, how long does it normally take before the B word comes up? And he said, no, it's just you. He said, no one else mentions it. I said, that cannot be true. He said, no, they never bring it up.
They never bring it up.
Definitely not true.
Well,
Ringo brings it up if they don't.
Yeah.
That would be my
by
guess.
the way, whatever happened to... Did Ringo commit to his... do you remember he famously said...
I'm warning you with peace and love.
After, was it October the 28th? I'm
said
sure one
he'd
of our readers will
yeah.
know. You know about this, Zoe?
No.
Oh, over
He
to
said
you,
he'd
Frank
never
Skinner.
sign another autograph, so don't send him anything because after October, whatever it was, he said, I'm warning you with peace and love.
They will not be signed anymore.
No, I don't know.
He
Why
was
did he
getting...
have a date, a specific date? It's like when a banknote goes out of circulation. That's weird, isn't it?
This
I know.
is the beauty of Ringo, is that he didn't need to put a date on it, but he goes his own way.
Well, I spoke to Paul McCartney about
Mysteriously.
this once at an after-show thing,
You didn't.
and he said...
Oh, God, embarrassing, Frank. What
and
did
he
you-
said, no, he said, Ringo, he said he said something about Liverpool. He said it wasn't a bad thing, really. He said, but he just said, he loved LA and blah, blah, blah. He said, and people took it badly in Liverpool. I said, what happened? He said, well, there was a topiary exhibition of the four of us and they cut Ringo's head off. I thought, what an interesting way
Wow.
of dealing with it.
Yeah.
We'll take the flora and fauna route.
It's quite a genteel act of
It is.
revenge.
Yeah, I'd
just
still be
hedging
upset
out.
though. Because when it's the three Beatles and you're just like a severed twig.
Like a basil bush.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Basil Bush.
Can I say, that would be a great tribute act.
Basil
I would
Bush.
go to see Basil Bush.
Yeah. Running
Yeah,
up
I'd be
that hill
worried
with
about
Basil
the
Bush.
nature of his act. Or her act.
It's my drag name.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Okay, the other thing about Paul McCartney that I loved is when he went off stage and the crowd was sort of I was thinking, will there be another encore? He did the traditional sleeping symbol, you know, the sort of sideways namaste with your head lying on it. He did that. I thought that's a great old bloke thing.
What, to say he was going to bed?
I'm going to sleep now.
Going to beddy bobo.
Yeah. I'm doing gigs this week. I'm going to use that when I go off stage.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind, but the gigs are ending at 7 p.m. But it's still fairly accurate.
How do you refer to sleeping? If you're, for example, if you're texting someone, because there are a lot of different ways people have. Some favour cop some Zs.
Yeah. I had to make you some. I'm going to knock out some Zs.
Oh, I don't like that.
Knock out some Zs.
That sounds very horrible.
Yeah, that sounds aggressively.
I tell you what I don't like. I don't like, I've got to get some shut-eye.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about up the wooden hills to Bedfordshire?
What about that very, very posh man we knew who was so posh that he had a silly nickname? Everyone called him Farf. I think I told you about Farf.
Okay.
No one ever knew what the real name was. He'd just been called Farf. And it's normally a nanny has given them that name and it's
yes, of course, yeah.
So Farf used to say, when he was tired, when he decided it was time to go to bed, obviously he didn't want to be rude and say it, you know, and offend people, so he would sigh and say, right, I think we're all very tired now. And that was it.
That was that.
Everyone would leave and
Very
go to bed.
empathetic, Farf. Yes. Very empathetic man. Oh, I've got to tell you something that happened to me this week. I went to a screening of The Princess, which is this documentary about Princess Diana.
Okay.
Princess Di, nominative.
And that's your friend does that, Phil?
Yes. So I was in. It's brilliant. I mean, you think, I know everything about it, but it's just watching it happen. I mean, I won't tell the ending. But anyway, we were standing before there. There was some of the nicest vol au vent I've had for a long time.
Oh, I love a vol au vent.
Anyway, a guy came up to me and there was two women standing like shoulder to shoulder in front of the poster, and he said to me, could I take a photo? And I said, yeah, of course. I said, do you want... And I thought, I'll be all humble. I said, do you want me in it? Yeah. And he said, no, I just want you to move. And he was actually asking me to move so he could take a photo of these two women.
Oh, lovely.
I felt my shoulders dislocate.
Oh, don't. I've done that recently.
Oh, it's really awful.
It's pretty bad.
But anyway, you know... I suppose I didn't just assume. What if I'd stepped into the lineup and he had to pull me out?
But I've done that before when somebody's gone, would you kind of take a photo? And I've gone, of course. And then they've handed me the camera to take a picture of their wife and them. And it's like, oh, God.
I think it's good. It's good for the soul. That's
But I quite like it. When I was interviewing Aled Jones on my podcast, and a man came over and said to him, he said, what do you do then? And it can show one in a very good light, because Aled was very humble. He said, I do a bit of singing. He said, do you? What sort of singing then? My wife likes choral music. Do you know any of that? I mean, I was dying. Yeah. Sorry, I was dying. I was trying to throw this man hints. Yeah. He wouldn't have it. He said, what's your name? And he was saying, Aled, sir, Aled. Oh.
It wasn't.
And he still didn't twig.
He didn't twig, and I kept saying to Aled, I just want that man to go home and Google Aled Jones and sort of, feel a bit sick for an hour. It's just because you specifically
I was at a party telling this bloke about touring and how exciting it was and how I love touring and stuff like that, how I was doing like 3,000 seaters and things. I said, what do you do? He said, I'm in a band, actually. I said, are you? I said, would I have heard of them? He said, maybe. We're called Pink Floyd.
Oh,
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Some of our readers have sent in things they like to say before going to bed. I might rephrase that.
Right.
As Justin of Earlwood has said, I'm Australian, so obviously it's something that couldn't go to air. Okay. And I like that couldn't go to air. I enjoy the way he phrased that. We've had Anthony Moss, someone I knew used to say they were going for a long blink.
Oh, that reminds me. I had a mate who used to say, "I'm just going to go and have a look at the inside of my eyelids."
Yeah.
Oh. Lee Smith, time for me cot.
Oh, I like that.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love the word cot.
Do you?
Yeah, that's. I love a cot. Oh,
Good.
yeah. Do you know, and a Z bed. Do you remember Z beds?
No, I don't remember that. What
remember
other
Z
kind of
beds.
beds are there?
Well, there's obviously the bunk bed.
That's still for sleeping in, though. It's still a Z bed, isn't it?
Well, the bunk bed.
I've always liked the idea of bed clothes.
Bed clothes.
That's it. If you put the bed clothes
clothes
on,
on.
you're going to dress the mattress.
What happened to bed valances?
Oh, I love
Pelmet.
the valance.
Where's your pelmet gone?
Pelmet? Why are there so many songs about... Oh, yes.
Oh, where's your pelmet gone?
Or maybe a divan.
Oh, a divan. Do you know, we had a divan. That was always...
Hang on, explain to me what divan is again. It's not.
Oh,
divan
Isn't
is
a divan a bed with a
Drawer
big
underneath.
drawer in it?
We had it in the living room.
Yeah.
And it was if my parents had an argument, my dad would sleep on the divan. And I pronounce it duvan.
Duvan.
It's divan, though,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's divan.
Okay.
We have... I sounded a bit Kermit, though. We have...
I've done too many. Why are there? This morning it's catching.
We have some things I say instead of going to bed.
Okay.
MJM. For years, I've sang to myself in the style of a limerick, "It's time to go to bed to rest my weary head." However, I've
In
never
what
thought-
way is that in the style of a limerick?
Well, MJM's not done yet. Can you please wait? However, I've never thought of a suitable ending to this. Do you see? So she's saying it's set up as a limerick.
Is it a she?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Because her entire name is spelt out. EMJM. So I've been going to bed on half a limerick for about 15 years, which isn't the life I'd hoped for.
No.
So
She's
I'm
out on a
thinking,
limb.
could we put something back in here? I mean, I've got two stand-ups here, two of the best in the business.
I'm going to need a bit of time.
What do you want then? A
It's
limerick.
ti-
So it begins.
The rhythm's not quite right,
No,
MJM.
I'm afraid your meter is slightly off, MJM.
It should be.
Sorry, MJM.
Du-du-du-du-du-du-du.
It's time
Is
to
it
go
that?
to bed.
But what does she say?
There was
She
a
says- It's time to go. It's time to go to bed to rest my weary head. Maybe she's doing that all as
It's
one
have to be.
meeting.
It's time I was going to bed
Okay, let's do. We'll help you out, MJ.
for the resting of my weary head.
Oh, I don't like for the resting.
Well, I'm trying to rescue this awful debacle of a limerick.
Poor
We
MJ.
shouldn't do this on air, I think, the
Okay,
composer.
okay.
We'll have a break.
Okay.
And when we get back, we're going to have an absolute side splitter.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
It has been like 8 out of 10 cats. Me and Zoe have been scribbling away to try and come up with a limerick for
Absolute
MJM.
gold.
for
MJ.
MJM.
I'm
Absolute
so
gold.
impressed.
Well, it might
the
be.
speed.
They might be rubbish.
Well, we'll be the judge of that,
So,
and we will judge. So, who wants
There's
to
no
kick?
might about this. This is rubbish, I've written here.
Who wants to kick off?
I'm going to go first because I think Frank might top me.
Oh, I would never top you, Zoe Lyons. Go on then.
Okay. It's time to go. Sorry. I've got the
Oh
first
no,
one.
I'm hating it. I'm hating it so far. I mean, if this was a poetry reading, I'd be eyeing the exit.
This is my slam poetry debut, if you don't mind.
Zoe also. Can you imagine? He said, if this was a poetry reading, what if this was a comedy gig? And he said, I'm hating it so far.
Well, we've
To
all
be
done
fair,
that.
it wouldn't be the first time I've heard it.
Let's hope it's
Just
the
walk on
last.
stage
dear.
and somebody else. Oh, I'm not
I'm
having
going to
this.
give you. I'm going to give you a proper.
I'm not having this. What's that? That's not happening. No. That used to happen to me in clubs. People, oh no, this isn't happening. No.
What was? We are going to get to this, but just to
Right.
give it a bit of a ramp. Frank, can you remind me briefly? David Baddiel was at the theatre, I believe, once, wasn't he? And he had a similar thing with his child at the time when.
And what happened is H from Steps was in Joseph and his Technicolor Dreamcoat. And he started singing one of those when it's just him in a spotlight.
Close every door.
And his daughter, Dolly, who was very little at the time, I point she wouldn't do it now, said, I don't like this. I think that was it.
I think what she said...
You've led me into one of David Baddiel's anecdotes.
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
expect an invoice in the week.
Oh, yes.
Anyway, come on, stop playing for time, Lions.
Right, okay. It's time I was going to bed to rest my weary head. I took to the stairs but tripped to my flares and now Glamrock is dead.
Oh,
it's
come on.
good.
Is it all right?
It's good.
Okay.
I really
I know
like
I've got to
that.
follow. That was a trap.
Follow that. Skinner.
It's one of those hostler, one of those limerick hostlers who say, well, I haven't really written a limerick before, but maybe just for like £50 for the first bet.
It's very me with my A-levels. I failed them all.
Anyway, so now I am going to bed for the resting of my weary head. I've got a new mattress. It still remains splatless. Not so good for my sexual cred. There you have it. Breakfast radio.
Oh, do you know, there's something so satisfying about this. Working with comics, I mean, honestly...
Working with
I think-
poets in this
I
instinct.
feel like this is Henry VIII,
Instinct.
just saying to the jester, write me something to amuse me.
God, that'd be... I think there'd be more pressure on
There'd be a
Henry
lot more
VIII's
pressure.
jester.
Yeah.
I don't know, you've known me a while, Frank. It's kind of...
Well, I know.
It took these people 60 seconds to come up with that comedy genius.
This woman's been trying for years.
Yeah.
Nothing.
We make it
Nothing.
look easy.
You see, the difference between me and MJM is I wouldn't be able to get to sleep until I'd completed the limerick.
Yeah. Just
We've
night
got some
insomnia.
other examples as well. Spencer X. I'm off to Club Duvet.
I like this one.
Oh, that's
Club
good.
Duvet.
I've said that many times when I've been out and then been told that people have never been there. They've asked, where's that?
Does anyone ever say that it's bed o'clock?
I hope
I
not.
hope they do.
I've got a lovely one here
go
from
on.
Nadine in Hull who says, we always say it's time to go up the dancers, the Fred Astairs.
Oh.
See, that's nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but what about the bungalows? How does Bungalow Bill cope with that?
Yeah.
Do you think, by the way, that that's a true story about a bunch of stagehands at MGM Studios were watching Fred Astaire walk just backstage in the lunch break, and he took his cigarette out of his mouth, dropped it, and he twisted to put it out on the floor, and they all applauded. That was it's a very sort of old movie anecdote. I hope it's true.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean, and Zoe Lyons is with us this morning. I love Zoe Lyons. Have I told you that before?
I love you too, Frank.
You can text the show on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk.
Now, I'd like to formally apologise.
Oh, okay.
It's with a heavy heart. It's not really, but I feel I've got to say that.
Yeah.
To MJ. I'd like to apologise to MJ.
Okay.
I'd like to apologise to my colleague Frank Skinner. I'd like to apologise to my colleague Zoe Lyons.
Okay.
When MJ, you may remember, MJ was the author of the limerick.
Yes.
I mean, I use the word author. The word author's doing a bit of heavy lifting there, let's not lie.
Wasn't it MJM?
It
she
was.
called? Yes, okay. Because I thought, I was trying to think of a Zoe Lyons, MJM, MGM.
MJM.
I never got there.
No.
I abandoned it.
MJM, you said, do you remember what you said to me, Frank? You said, how do you know?
How do you know it's a woman, I said.
And I said, I just do because it's spelled
You
out.
said it's completely spelt out, and I didn't quite understand how you explained it, and neither did Zoe, because I looked at her
politely
thinking,
stayed
does she get
quiet,
it? She looks
yeah.
possible. But we just carried on because we're a little bit scared of you.
Good, I'm glad to hear it. I didn't quite understand it either, but I got away with it.
Okay.
It's partly because I spell out my own name phonetically with EM. Anyway, I'm putting off the inevitable,
Yes.
which is the news that I was wrong. MJM, that awkward moment when you are... MJM's been very charitable, understandably referred to as a female on the
Right,
radio.
okay.
My Twitter is actually my initials spelt out phonetically.
I see. So it was
MJM is a
M.
chap.
M as in Divine Miss M.
Yeah, but MJM was very nice about it. I'd like to apologise. I mean, I don't know where to start.
Oh, look, it's fine. They've taken it well. I think we're past it. I would, and also I just want to be able to play a correction jingle because I want Zoe to hear what happens when a jingle is really badly mixed.
Let's hear it.
Yeah.
Correczione, correczione, ole, ole, ole. The suggestion is that I'm part of the crowd on that. But I'm part of the crowd who's a lot closer to the microphone than the rest of the crowd.
Sounds like you're part
You're in a
of the...
separate stadium.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're part of the... It sounds like we're in a loo in a coach. That was recorded.
Yeah.
It's not good.
We've also had some outside world contributions.
Oh.
What people say instead of I'm going to bed.
Can I play one more jingle just to prove that the producer can do it when she really puts her nose to the grindstone?
Wow.
Outside world, whoa, the outside world. Actually, I've just remembered she didn't do that one.
She's just said I did.
She didn't.
It's like a sea shanty.
It is.
Lovely.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what we're after.
Oh, is that a sea shanty?
Shanty-esque.
Yes.
That was the brief. Oh, man. So,
Rob G, I live in Bedfordshire, so it doesn't work for me.
no, I can see that. I suppose he is going up the Wooden Hills to Bedfordshire, but he's also going from Bedfordshire.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I also
complicated.
like Peter Ferguson. He sounds like my kind of man. Do you know what he says when he goes to bed?
Go on.
Well,
That's it. I'm off.
good. Yeah.
It's,
It's
yeah.
quite an angry. Do you like it?
It's direct. That's it.
It's one of those catchphrases that feels like it needs it's still in draft form.
Pizzazz.
Like, hello, I'm Johnny Cash. And you think, yeah, Johnny,
Yeah.
that's all right as a placeholder, but you need something a bit more written. Okay, all right, I'm
How
off.
about going off to the land of Nod, says Rob in West Yorkshire.
Yeah, that used to be. I
Land
like
of
the
Nod.
mystical nature of it.
Yeah.
I wonder if Slade used to say that to each other before they went to bed because
to the land
of
of
Noddy Holder.
Karen says, time for bed, said Zebedee.
Oh, yes. Which, for our younger listeners, of which there are, I think, 4, that used to be the end of the Magic Roundabout.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a few of those. Isn't that endings
Yes.
that traditional?
Well, I always use, but I don't use it for going to bed. I use this when people are being a bit selfish or narcissistic. I say, when Bagfuss goes to sleep, all of his friends have to go to sleep.
Okay. And then, of course, it doesn't really work on the radio because it involves a wink. But there was Anne Robinson going goodbye and then winking.
Yeah.
And when I first saw it, I thought, oh, so is it not goodbye then? Because the
She
wink
being-
suggested there was some, we know,
know,
it really
yeah.
is a really goodbye. Well, but then it was goodbye. Absolutely
Like when you know
ridiculous.
that people go to an after party and you haven't been invited. That's what she was doing. Yeah.
I bet she's never not been invited to an after party.
The John
ever.
Lewis slogan.
Yes. Never knowingly not invited to an after party.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I should say, let it be officially noted that the producer Sarah did make the shanty jingle.
And it's a classic. It's an instant classic.
It is
Not
an
just
instant-
that, she produced witnesses. I mean, she subpoenaed these people.
She did.
And, yeah.
Yeah.
Who
No,
are
it
we
was,
to argue?
No, so her boyf and her mom both texted in to say that. That
Which makes me
Sarah had
wonder
done that. I love.
what-
Yeah, where's my support structure?
I was going to say, I think my parents were saying, what is it you do again?
But is Sarah playing the jingles at home? There's a man who works on the roundabout in Brighton, and I always imagine that he plays the same music when he gets home. That sort of dingity, 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 like after a long day's work. Maybe that's what Sarah does.
I'd
She
like
goes
it
home
if
and plays the
Sarah said,
jingles.
what should we put on? And she
Yeah.
just put on the Correczione. Maybe for a night, maybe you'll have a glass of wasp.
Got some chill out jingles.
Yeah, exactly.
Chill out jingles.
Now that's what I call jingles.
Can you put the jingles on shuffle, Matt?
I asked Simon Cowell what he listened to at home. He said, well, you know, when you work in... he said, well, look. And he always starts like that. Well, look, when you work in music, you don't really want to listen to music when you get home, so I never listen to it. And I thought, oh, that's something very pantomime Lucifer about that.
I'm glad he didn't say this industry. Anyone who says this industry...
I might have cleaned it up a bit.
Well, look, in this industry...
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Speaking of industry, I saw a news item this week which caused me to stagger back. I think it was 3 paces.
Yeah.
And the suggestion was, now if you've got any American listeners, I'd like a bit of... that the electric kettle is not commonly known in the United States of America.
I can believe that.
Can you?
Yeah. I can believe that.
I understand, because I couldn't
I was
believe
stunned.
it.
It was the New York Times, wasn't it, this appeared in? Someone tweeted it. And what was brilliant was that the feature, it was kind of a featurette, it said, began, consider, comma, the electric kettle. And then went on to sort of suggest it was some innovation.
Yeah, something that no one knew about.
This new invention.
Best kept secret.
But that's sort of typically American, isn't it? In that, on occasion, they can make things very, very tricky for themselves. That, you know, something as simple as a kettle would be...
Well, to be fair, they're in the basics, because apparently the popular thing in America is the kettle on the hob.
They like the stove
like a whistling,
kettle.
like a...
Yeah, well, there now.
Well, I remember that from Fatal Attraction, do you?
Oh,
I remember it from Life.
Oh,
I remember it from my Nana's.
Life.
No, we always put the kettle on the hob, just a normal kettle. And I remember when we got one that had the whistle, and honestly, it was like we'd just got Wi-Fi. It was like in fact, if there was a one of those BBC programmes, History of the World in 100 great underrated inventions, I would say the whistle kettle thing would be up there.
It's amazing it took them so long to put a whistle on it.
I know. Well, that's the thing about great inventions.
Maybe if they'd put one of those party gazoos on the end, it would have been like when it was done. It just went,
Yeah, but what you
Can you
don't
imagine
want.
when the tea was boiled, it went...
yeah.
No, but what you don't want with the party gazoo, which I've never heard it called before,
I don't know what you call it.
is when it was boiled, there would be no retraction of the curl. So it would that last note. You don't want that elongated for ages while you.
It's a visible representation that the kettle's boiled. I think that I'm surprised it hasn't been done.
I can't have any truck with any of these things because of I have misophonia. So with my misophonia, it'll play up.
But just before we go into the break, if there was a History of the World in 100 great underrated inventions, I'd like to know what our readers would like to include on 8, 12, 15. By the way, an electric kettle in the USA, I discover, is known as a hot pot. I mean, that just confuses things.
Hot pot?
Yeah. That confuses things even more, doesn't it? Because the Lancashire hot pot and all that.
Yes, you'd be very confused if you just boil some water.
Zoe, I'm really relieved that Frank said US. Did you say US or USA?
I think I said USA. I don't think I'd ever say US.
No, and I'm relieved you said USA.
And I wouldn't say the States ever. And I wouldn't say across the pond. These are my rules.
Why do people say across the pond? That question to either Frank Skinner or Zoe Lyons.
Because, like most people, they say it because they've heard someone else say it, and they haven't evaluated it in any way before they've taken it on as their own.
It's a big pond, isn't it? I mean, that's a big
I also Well, I think by saying it,
It's
they're
tidal.
trying to
it's
suggest...
tidal. That's one of the problems.
Yes,
one of the
it's a tidal
first
bond.
problems.
But
yeah,
guys,
you're going to use some of your card.
the reason that the States and across the pond, it's sort of suggesting there's a familiarity with it.
You know
Yes.
what it is? It's
There's a
that-
bodiness to that.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I'm so familiar with it.
because
It's
really,
the hankering, isn't
Yeah.
it, for the special
Yeah.
relationship
because
which doesn't exist.
Yeah, we don't say across the stream to France, do we? And
No.
that is a lot closer than the United
No.
States because we're like, no, there's a channel between us, and let's keep it that way. Whereas with America, we're like, it's just a little pond.
Yeah.
One of the most argued over answers on Trivial Pursuit was, what do the French call the English Channel?
What do they call it?
Well, it's in French, I think, and I've heard heated disputes about if you've said it in English, it should still be the same and all that kind of. They may have changed it now because I think it led to a few brutal killings.
I don't know why I laughed.
Absolute Radio.
That was a nervous laugh.
9:31 a.m. on Absolute Radio.
You're allowed a nervous laugh.
That was
I
a
think,
nervous
now.
laugh.
But I was interested to learn that we obviously refer to the French exit, the French goodbye. When you leave a party, I call it discreetly, which is how I choose to leave. Make a big fanfare when you arrive. Everyone knows you're there. And then you slip off without a goodbye.
Oh, okay.
I call that a French goodbye. Apparently the French refer to it as an English goodbye.
Oh, really?
Ah.
Okay.
Oh.
So,
Educational as well as entertaining, this programme. It was always my dream.
I don't think he means that. I think he thinks I've ruined his show.
No, it doesn't. There's something I recently
Yeah.
the electric kettle in our house broke.
Oh.
I say it broke in the abstract so as not to apportion blame of any kind. And we then, because obviously even in the age of Amazon, it's going to be 48 hours before you've got your new electric kettle. We went to saucepan, lipped saucepan.
Okay.
And I'll tell you after this what was my problem.
Frank Skinner,
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
So we're discussing the New York Times, which...
Hold it. I've got a cliffhanger.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
your saucepan.
Here's a background.
That sounded so damning back. Oh, your sauce.
Oh, your
Yeah.
saucepan
My
cliffhanger.
lipped.
When you say
saucepan.
lipped, do you mean like Pory spout lip?
Yes,
Okay.
because it's hard to pour. I don't want to be pouring hot water into a cup out of just a standard.
You need the Pory spout
yeah.
bit.
But you're
I
dealing
don't-
with boiling water, children. If you listen, you've got to be extra careful.
So is this a saucepan with a
Pory
spout?
bit.
With-
Oh, I
yeah.
don't. I
No,
can't have any business with them.
Well,
Well, they don't fit into other saucepans properly. That's where I have truck
The
with them. But-
aesthetics are all over the shop.
Yeah.
the secret is to only have lipped saucepans. That's my advice.
With
And the nice thing is that
progressively bigger lips.
they don't get twisted out of shape because they slot in. It's like a lock.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So go on.
So when we'd used it for a couple of days, we didn't tip the water out or anything. We just kept filling it up like you do a kettle.
Yeah.
Within like 24 hours, that white, that sort of coral
yeah.
reef that
Yeah.
forms,
Yeah.
that was forming. And I thought, you know what? I'm glad there's a lid on our kettle.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't want to know. You know, when sometimes I've misjudged how much water's in the electric kettle, and I thought I'm going to have to completely empty it to fill this cup of tea now, and then you get what I would call kettle chips.
Yeah.
You end
Kettle
up with
black.
that little crunchy bits of
Yeah.
white enamel.
Yeah.
I just don't go into a kettle. I know it's bad in there. I don't. That's all I need to know.
The innards are. It's like the surface of the moon. I've been in there. You have to brace yourself before opening it.
Ugh. I don't want to look in there.
I've got those in the bottom of my kettle, I've got like little wire Brillo pad things that you stick in that apparently makes...
What is it? Some
I
sort
don't
of
know. My mum uses them and she gave them to me as a bizarre gift.
Matchbox type car wash.
Yeah. But it takes some of the hard
Is it like-
water out.
you know where she's got that from? She's those motorway toilets that have those those things where you chew a toothbrush.
Oh, yeah,
and
like
it gets
that.
your teeth, yeah?
It's a kettle version of it.
People used to put a stone, like a pebble,
In the kettle.
And the idea was that the terrible coral would stick to that, not to the kettle. And then
It's, you know what I find really disturbing is...
this should be a good list.
It's not realist. It's just the piping. I hate all the piping. I don't want to know how you do it.
No, I know. It's a bit...
Kettle
It's a bit
piping.
I don't want to know how you do it.
it is a bit Pompidou centre.
What do you mean,
Just
piping?
the piping inside the kettle.
Wow.
Are you talking about the
that's
element?
Yeah, exactly, Frank.
Well, the element is essential to us.
Why
wouldn't
has
it?
the mention of Pompidou turned you into Inspector Clouseau?
You know, I love her.
Element.
I've never looked at my kettle and thought, Pompidou. I mean, it's...
That's all I
Really?
think. Have you not got the element?
Yeah,
Got the element?
I look at my kettle and think, well, hold on, where are the street entertainers?
Frank Skinner. Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
Here's the thing about the kettle that you put on the hob. When we grew up, which we always had one of those kettles, we also, our iron was one that you put on the hob as well.
That's proper.
Yeah.
Like a solid iron.
Solid iron. Not
metal
shaped like
iron
an iron.
that you put on like a sort of Monopoly piece.
It worked as a doorstop, except when my mum had ironing to do. And yes, it was only my mum. We didn't know, you see. And it would go on the
hob or in the oven?
No, you wouldn't have been able to.
Well,
Oh, I've only ever seen those instead of Great Expectations.
Yeah.
and
Yes,
things.
well, we didn't have any of those, but we did have. It was in my life growing up, which I would like to call exceedingly low expectations. Although it turned out well.
I want to bring up...
And the lady who lived next door, the old lady, used to put a house brick in the oven for a hot water bottle
Wow.
substitute.
Can I just say, I'm obsessed by Frank's childhood.
Yeah.
A house brick in the oven. That's a really good idea, though.
House brick in the oven, I know.
Makes
Well,
a
I
horrible
want-
It's
roast.
Birmingham. Birmingham, actually, I remember this from school, is the home of the electric kettle.
Is it?
It was invented in Birmingham.
It's such a show-off, Frank.
Yeah.
Honestly. What about when...
Kettle City. Hey, coming down to Kettle City.
Ain't gonna play Kettle City.
Take me down to Kettle City. Where the water's hot and the girls are pretty. Whoa, take me home. Oh, I'm really in my element.
Oh, come on.
Come on.
We need something for that. That was extraordinary.
Beautiful piece of...
There's only...
I didn't say that, so I just said it was extraordinary. Okay?
There's got to be a kettle jingle in there somewhere in your little
I
magic
can't
box.
find. We need a whistle, but I just
Must be in Sarah's archives of jingles. She's got...
We're going to have to go
boyfriend
to
will
my
have them.
old,
He's got them set up for later.
my old fallback position.
Hey.
Oh, that's better. It's very good upper body workout.
See, now, can I... Quickly, kettle, right, on hob. There's a bit of it I get because I once had my electrics redone in my flat in Brighton.
Haven't we all
I thought you were walking differently.
Yeah, I've been rewired.
Yeah.
It's expensive, isn't it? I had mine done.
Yeah, it is expensive. This was a few years ago, and apparently the in cable wasn't big enough for all of my electrics at one point. And I said to the electrician, "What do I need to do?" And he went, "Just don't have the kettle and the tumble dryer on at the same time." That was yeah.
Beautifully simple.
Yeah, but the kettle apparently can blow the whole system. So that's what I'm saying. Energy-wise, are you better just to sort of, I don't know, put it on the hob or warm between your thighs? I don't know.
It's a question, though, isn't it, that someone environmentally might be able to answer.
Yes.
What's better for the planet, an electric kettle or a kettle on the hob?
Or iced tea.
Okay.
Yeah, he was good.
Yeah.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Zoe Lyons. You can text the show on 81215, follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio, email the show via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk. We're still talking kettle, I think.
Yeah.
We are, but briefly, I would like to interject with some of
Oh,
our
interject by all means.
some of our readers' favourite inventions.
Oh, yes, of course. Underrated
Underrated inventions. I do apologise. Daily Gunner Rijkaards, would it be? Ricards?
Frank Rijkaard.
Yeah, I'm going on, Frank. He sent a picture. Hello, Daily. This wine bra I picked up in a charity shop, which is... I mean, I'm obsessed by this. How to describe it? Can you see it, Zoe?
No, where am I?
It's sort of... Do you know when you have... It's kind of... There's a handle on it.
Yes.
And then the wine pokes out of a hole at the top. Do you know what I
Of
mean?
the bra.
He's calling it a wine bra. What would you do? How would you describe
How would
the
I
look of
call?
it?
I would say I would call that an attachable handle.
Okay.
But then
like a wine
I'm
handbag.
literally saying what I'm seeing here.
You'd be very good on catchphrase.
Thank you, thank you. But it's entirely unnecessary.
Yes.
Isn't it like those, those ones where people pour wine into other people's mouths?
Oh, like a little
Hasn't
sack.
that got a handle?
Yes.
Has
That's
it got-
called something else. That's got a special name.
It's like
hasn't
a
it?
leather handbag with a bottle in it.
Yes, this is what this is. This
Yeah.
is what this is. We've also got the back scratcher from David Gray.
Yeah.
United
That was one of his best singles.
United Nathans has, I know, we'll come back to that, has recommended the apple core remover.
Yeah, that is good, actually. I don't have one, but now you mention it, I need one.
I've got a massive American apple core remover. Oh no, is it an apple core remover? Oh no, it takes the skin off, right? I got this as a gift once from my family. You put the apple in like a brace, like a sort of, it's like a wind-up brace, very much like if you were doing something with a bit of DIY on a Black and Decker thingy.
Oh, yeah, it's very much what I do,
So
yeah.
you stick an apple in this, right?
Yeah.
Then you sort of lower on a blade onto the apple, and then you wind up a handle to take, and it spins the apple and takes the
Sounds
skin
very
off.
labour saving, Zoe.
It is absolutely pointless.
Oh,
It's
it's
pointless.
environmentally friendly.
I
You don't
eat the
plug
skin
it
of an apple anyway. Who's going to
Do
do
you?
that?
Wow,
yeah, I
crazy.
know. I'm crazy times, Frank.
How are
Crazy,
you with
crazy
fish?
times.
Fish,
Yeah,
rice pudding, custard,
Yeah.
ticks or crosses on
Yeah.
the skin.
Even
edibility.
mistake. Sometimes bit of skin on that. Let me have that.
Okay. Well, you leave the leather outer on it.
Yeah.
What about Frasman has said they have a little lift in a gherkin jar now.
Oh.
That's ace. What, so the gherkin can get up?
Yes, it's brilliant.
So the gherkin is lazy?
No, it's so good. I think this is a brilliant invention because if you drain your gherkins, as we all know, they can dry out and
Yeah.
shrivel up. And nobody likes a shriveled up gherkin. Not
don't
even
I?
me.
No.
I don't much like a moist one.
Oh, I love a moist gherkin.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Oh, I love a gherkin. So it's like a little...
Drain your gherkin sounds a bit like lock up your daughters. It feels like a thing you might shout as you rode into town. Drain your gherkins. And then straight into the boys are back in town.
Oh, God.
But the lift, have I seen the lift?
You
I
know
don't know
about
if I have.
feta cheese comes with it too.
Okay.
It's all gone a bit Tom Cruise's shoes,
It's
hasn't
not-
it, with
it's
the
not
lift?
just for
I can't-
gherkins.
I mean,
So it's basically a little sort of platform that sits at the bottom of the jar, but it's got holes in it, so it drains the gherkin fluid out as you lift the little platform out, and you
Can
you
get a
stop
gherkin.
doing that?
Sorry,
I see. It's a bit. It reminds me of when we went to see about a tour van that we'd put in, and the guy said, "Well, it's done 11k. I'm gonna have to ramp it." You're ramping your gherkins.
You ramping your gherkins.
Yeah, ramping your gherkins.
Twisting my melon, man.
Oh, it's all right. It's all right, lads. They're already ramped. The boys are leaving town. They should have done that as a sequel. The boys are leaving town for the end of the gig.
It sounds too bleak.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I showed Zoe and Frank a picture of my kettle. What did you both think? Be completely honest.
I very much liked it.
It was kind of Bauhaus in its
It had a strong
stark
design feel.
simplicity.
It's got a Nordic vibe. It's a dove grey colour.
It's very Nordic. It's got what appears to be a wooden handle.
Lovely.
Which is
Well,
nice.
don't get much more Nordic than wood.
Don't, do you? I mean,
No.
unless it's an entirely wooden kettle.
It's the sort of kettle
Yeah.
like having.
Which wouldn't work.
Wouldn't work on the hob.
It's,
Oh, what's a
I
nice
bet-
glow from my Nordic
Oh, I
kettle.
suppose the good thing is
Yeah.
when it burnt, the water would put the fire
Yeah,
out.
let's just steam.
well, let's not.
That's
let's
a good
not find
safety.
out.
It turns out the wooden kettle's a good safety device.
Wow.
I find that when my partner makes me a cup of tea, which she does now and again.
How do
we've
you
got
find
that kind
cat's
of-
tea?
Well, there's a dilemma here. because
I'm not leading the witness, by the way, because I like cat's tea, but I just with partners.
She does a
it's-
thing which I struggle with, is
Yeah.
that the kettle is boiling and she thinks, oh, I'll get the cop out now and all that. The kettle stops boiling. I am beside myself.
Why?
The kettle quietens down, the bobbling ceases,
Yeah.
and then she pours it in the cup.
Well, of course.
No.
She's not a. I mean, of course.
Tea needs to be made with boiling water. That's when I pour it, the light is still on the kettle. You know that little light.
The optimal.
It's bobbling and spitting when I pour it into
Absolute
it.
No,
lunacy.
you can't drink that, Frank.
Yeah, boiling water has to go into tea, though. That's what it's about.
Absolute lunacy.
If
I
I
would
was making a
never-
coffee or a tisane. If I was making a tisane, it would be you're looking at me like
What's a tisane?
That's what I used to call herbal tea. I remember when it first came out.
Tisane?
I drink tisane. Yeah.
What's that? Oh,
No.
I didn't know that.
Was it a
Yes.
brand name or was
No, I
it?
don't think. I think it's a generic term for
Umbrella
herbal
term
tea.
for-
Oh, have I got it wrong now?
No, I'm sure you have it right. But we used to. I
The thing,
thought.
would you like a tisane? I don't mind if I do. What is it?
Sounds like a Moroccan chicken dish.
No, well, no.
I think you've made this up to test us to see if we just agree blindly or whether we've got our own minds.
Yeah, I've
Well,
never
you
heard of a
put-
tisane.
You know when you say something that you're confident of, and
Yeah.
then people go, "Then I feel I'm not one of those
I
persons
can
who
see-
think I know I'm right." I think, ooh,
I think
See the confidence
I've
dripping
already
from your
proven
eyes.
this
Yeah.
morning that I'm rarely right. I mean, I got someone's whole gender wrong.
I know, but that's not as bad as inventing a term for herbal tea.
What is it? Tisane.
Tisane,
If
right?
any of our readers, because they're bright people, they know their onions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I mentioned onions.
Somebody has answered my question about the efficiency.
Yeah,
of-
I know, Zoe. We'll get to that.
I'm really excited about this.
What about the tisane?
Tisane,
Can someone just tell us? Is there such a thing as a tisane, or has Frank made that up? Because it sounds a little bit made up.
That's completely made up, Frank.
Why would I make that up? What would
no
be my
idea.
motivation?
Just to seem sort of more highbrow in the tea department.
I don't-
Which is,
okay.
our life
Fair
goals
enough.
are dropping here. That's
Okay. Meanwhile, back to Zoe in
back
the
to
studio.
the efficiency. 1588 tells me electric kettle is more efficient than a hob, unless it's an induction hob where it's the same. So I'm
Okay.
happy about that. So I'll carry on using my kettle, because if they'd said hob, I'd have just totally binned the kettle. Why would you have a kettle? You don't need it.
Exactly.
In
Yeah.
terms of useless inventions, Jez Garrett, I appreciate we're about to go to a song, but I'd just like to leave you with this thought. Jez Garrett, the most useless has to be the newer big bars of chocolate with wrappers that reseal. I don't buy a big bar of chocolate to put back in the fridge. I buy it because I've had a rubbish day and I need to overdose on sugar.
Okay, well that's fair enough. You have the option. Maybe you could use that as that wrapper as a backy pouch.
Oh yeah, lovely.
Yeah.
Very traditional.
Meanwhile, let me just look up all the tisane. I don't seem to be any.
Pop the kettle on. Anybody want a
Do
cup
you
of
want to know how to
tisane?
spell
Yeah.
it? T-I...
How'd you take your tisane?
Any tisane text?
Milk,
No.
2 sugars. Yeah,
Oh,
lovely.
man.
You know.
Tisane.
Yeah, you can say it as many times as you like, Frank. It's not
Okay.
going to make it true.
It'll be a different world when we come back.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Frank,
Yes.
this is a great moment for you, and you know what? I'm going to let you have it.
Okay. Let him have it.
Do you remember you had asked whether... You didn't ask. It was an assertion you made regarding herbal teas.
I said if I I said if I didn't boil the kettle fully, I would be okay for a coffee or a tisane.
Do you want to remind us what happened then?
Then there was some derision. It reminded me of when I walked in here once, Zoe, and the team were talking about the recent episode of Breaking Bad, and I said, "Did anyone see Merlin yesterday?" And they laughed with scorn at me, and that was a tisane. It's a tisane moment.
You're going to like this.
Go on.
We've been inundated with tisane confirmations.
Oh, righty. Fantastic.
I mean, Zoe.
Yeah.
The switchboard has blown up. And your support.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you all for your support.
Alison, I think she spells that in the midge way.
Right.
Frank is right.
That'll do me.
That's it.
My work here is done.
And other things you haven't heard for a while at home. No, Kath would say that. She says if you're right, Frank.
She might.
Oh, yeah, she would.
Not with that gusto, though.
It's also what the French call herbal teas. So not tisane, and she's put a little thumbs up emoji. Not only are you right, you're very sophisticated.
Oh, see, I knew that.
Sophisticated and on point.
If you put my tisane information next to my the electric kettle was invented in Birmingham, you have the full range of my interests.
Ruth Jordan, a tisane is a herbal tea, Frank, and there is a tea room called Tisane's in Broadway in the Midlands.
Oh, see, it's all falling into place.
Is this a really old-fashioned term?
Don't try and
Is it
don't
really,
diss it.
really,
Just you're
really,
wrong.
really
You're
old-fashioned?
wrong. So you're
Is
going to
it
make it a
something
bad
only
thing to know.
Only like Victorians would say.
Well,
8549 has texted in saying, "Hi all, tisane is indeed a thing."
Oh.
In an episode of Agatha Christie's Poirot, he asked Miss Lemon for his tisane, which is a herbal tea. So I'm just saying.
yeah, but he only asked because he knew it was the most French-sounding thing possible.
It sounds like it ought to be someone from a boy band, doesn't it? I love
Tisane.
Tisane!
Yeah.
Tisane, you're my favourite.
Tisane sounds like an entry-level electric car.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
Anyway, it's a herbal tea, which I think we have now established.
Can I hear? How do you think David Suchet would have delivered that line if he was saying, "Miss Lemon, I would like my tisane now, please." Frank Skinner, you're a good actor.
Well, try it. Let's Suchet and see. Could I have my tisane now, Madame Lemon?
Okay, I like that, but I think he would have been. I don't think Poirot would be so. I don't think he would defer with a could I. I think he would say, "My tisane, please, Mademoiselle."
Or maybe if it's in the middle of a case. Tisane.
Tisane.
Yeah, just going on like that.
Of a case.
Yeah, he's always in the middle of a case. So I don't mean a case of tisane. I don't mean he's working his way
Do you think
through one of
Poirot?
the sections of a herbal tea display case.
Oh, do you like the sections?
I love the section.
Do
Wooden
you?
sections.
Oh, have you seen you get those like
It's like the it's like the
tea
TK
boxes that open?
You know, I
The
always feel
TK
like
Maxx of teas. That we're just flicking through them all.
Oh, yeah, it is. It's like looking at CDs in HMV in the old
I
days.
feel like I'm very glamorous. I'm like in a casino when they give you the presentation.
Emily, you are very glamorous.
Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Now, Zoe Lyons was sort of teasing us that she's had an incident.
I had an incident.
And
Oh, yeah.
I want to hear it on air.
Well, I'm getting over my incident now. I had an accident, Frank. I
Oh,
had an
is this going to be...
It was get your tiny little violins out because it's quite bad.
I have got a tiny little violin. I've got the one that Buzz used to play when he was 4, and it is minuscule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 3 months. It's 3 months ago now, but I'm still getting over it. I had a little bit of a skiing incident.
You've already lost a
I
bit
know,
of my
that's why I said, I
sympathy.
know. Everybody goes, oh, right,
It's worried about injuries to the in crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, No, go on.
No, I've skied all my life. I'm a very good skier. It turns out it's the stopping that I have an issue with. Yeah. Oh,
I was the same with drinking.
Yeah, it's the same.
Drunk all my life. I'm a very good drinker. It's the stopping. Right?
That's the hard bit.
May I ask which resort you were in?
I was in Meyerhofen in Austria.
Oh, lovely.
And came to a halt in front of a large group of friends of mine, completely misjudged it and went headfirst down a hill. And the only way I can describe it is, when you put your hand in your pocket and you're expecting your phone to be there and it's not there and you have a moment of panic and then you remember it's on the sideboard at home and your heart settles again. I haven't had this experience before where you put your hand in your jacket expecting your shoulder to be there. And it's not. It's just not. And you know it's not on the sideboard at home either. So,
No.
I was taken off the mountain on one of those. They call it the blood sled. They call it the blood sled. I'm going to call it the sled of shame because if you haven't been, basically it's like a massive orange sort of Monge 2 skin.
Oh, they would make it orange.
Bright orange so that everybody sees it. Strap you in. The only bit that's left exposed to the elements is your huge face of shame that then they drag past every cafe and bar on the slope so that everybody can have a good old look at you in your moment of misery. And I dislocated my shoulder, fractured it. And when they took me to the clinic in Austria, I thought they were going to give me quite high-end painkillers. No, not in Austria. I got 2 paracetamol and a glass of warm water. And I was sitting, which is what you give to somebody with toothache, not somebody whose limb had been hanging off. And when they sat me back in the waiting room, this is genuinely true, I sort of was zoning in and out a bit and I realised they were playing music. And then I suddenly realised the music they were playing in this waiting room in an Austrian clinic was R.E.M.'s Everybody Hurts.
Oh, perfect.
Absolutely.
Do you think that was deliberately chosen?
I don't know. Well,
I think
it probably was.
It was.
Yeah, after they'd given me 2 paracetamol, I think they went, put this on, it'll be funny.
Yeah.
You see,
Don't go breaking my arm.
It's too suspicious. I told you when the dentist put on No Woman, No Cry. I said, was this intentionally? They do it.
Do they?
Yes, I think they know what they're doing.
Okay.
They knew what they were up to, Zoe.
It's like walking into an Undertaker's and they're playing Knock Knock Knocking on Heaven's Door.
That would be wrong. With the knocking
has it put you off? Has it put you off skiing? The injury?
No. Because no.
All right. That was a no.
But you see, a four nose.
As multiple choice goes, that was rubbish, wasn't it?
Do you know what, though? It makes you very...
I think I take as a yes, if you get what I'm saying.
Okay.
I haven't broken a bone since I was a kid, and it's made me really, really aware of my own skeleton. I'm very aware of it now. Even going downstairs, I'm like, be careful of your skeleton!
I took a girlfriend's ex-girlfriend's sister. I took to a West Brom versus Ipswich game. She'd never been to a football match.
Lucky thing.
And at the end, she said to me, all I could think of is that everyone standing there and all the people on the pitch were just skeletons. That inside them all, we all had skeletons. I said, yeah, it wasn't a great game.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
The music started, guys. Can you hear the strains of Pride?
Oh, yeah, that's Pride from
Pride.
outside.
I can hear them
Lovely.
calling me. I've got to go in a minute.
Come back,
Yeah.
Zoe.
Yeah. They need me.
Call of the Wild.
Yeah.
And it will be tonight.
Reader 3097 has texted in to say, hi Frank and friends, I was in an MRI scanner a few weeks ago and the hospital chose Another One Bites the Dust.
Oh my God. Yes, what did they... Let's hope the results turned out okay. You see, when I'm in an MRI scanner, the noise of the scanner sounds like the music I listen to most of the time. I don't need any extra stuff.
I hate how still they make you go.
Very still.
You're not allowed to move at all.
No, what is it with them? Don't play music and then make me be still. MRI guys.
I've never been in one. I've never been in one.
I had the last haircut I had. I was moved around. Be still. Be still. I had to stay. It was honestly. I felt like I was posing for Rodin's thinker.
Did you say the last haircut you had?
Yeah.
Well, you have your hair cut in an MRI.
scanner.
No, I'm talking about the concept of being made to sit still.
Oh,
Being made to
yes.
Sit still.
In relation to that,
Yeah.
when I was having my hair cut, I wasn't allowed to move. I didn't know
Oh,
that
I
was a
see.
thing. She kept saying, "Don't move, don't move. No, moving, you're moving, you're moving."
See, I had my portrait done recently. Somebody wanted to do my portrait.
threw that in.
Yeah.
Nice.
In pencil. And I didn't move, but I did talk throughout it. And as a result, my mouth's just a bit blurry on the resulting thing.
no.
Yeah.
Do you think they did it in pencil so they can rub it out
I think so.
and draw someone else on there? So someone they like better comes
Yeah.
along. By the way, there was a text which you teased me with
Yeah.
about the TCB band.
Oh yes, I'm going to come to that imminently.
Okay.
Briefly, I'd just like to say greatest underrated inventions: the plastic zip, which allows you to reseal a bag of frozen peas. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. I'm going to say yes,
Yeah.
even though the answer is no. It's called lying.
Well, the annoying thing with those is I usually notice them just as I've scissored off a corner.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then you're like,
I'm the same with the zip on my trousers. I've already hacked a hole in it with scissors, and then I notice there's a zip there.
oh, so annoying.
813. I shared a dressing room with the TCB band.
That's
in Leicester,
Elvis's backing group from the 70s.
Wow.
which stands for, Frank.
Taking care of business.
Maybe
Elvis invented the poo bag for dogs. He didn't.
Oh, why don't I get that printed on Ray's bag?
Taking care of business.
Taking care of business.
Oh,
Presley
Frank.
Poops.
Yeah,
Do you know?
it. With the lightning streak as well.
Anyway, he shared a dressing room with them in Leicester about 20 years ago. So presumably they carried on.
Well, they did a show where they had Elvis on a big screen with his vocals isolated from the other stuff. So they were able to be a live backing group.
Oh, I get it. It's
To
one of those
Elvis
things.
on
It's like
screen.
you either find it wonderful or a bit depressing.
It's upset me a bit.
I
There's a
find
big
it
gap
depressing.
at the front of the stage
I
where he
can't
would
bear
have
it.
been.
I made them a cup of tea and was charmed by their apparent fascination with the electric kettle. Pianist Glenn Hardin said, "Well, will you look at that?" As they gathered around the boiling
These are guys who work with Elvis but were blown away by an electric kettle.
As they gathered around the boiling contraption with guitarist James Burton asking, "How will we know when it's ready to use?"
These are great names from the Elvis world.
Bassist Jerry Sheff
Oh, yeah?
just said, "Watch and see, fellas," whilst drummer Ronnie Tuff just waited it out with a smile.
Great. I've met all these guys.
This was from Andy Wood in West Yorkshire.
Do you know
He's one of
Andy
our
Wood?
regulars. No, but thanks for the tip.
Yeah, no, that's a great story.
Yeah.
I met them, and Glenn Hardin, the piano player, said Elvis used to sit in and play piano sometimes, didn't he? He said, "Yeah, just about the worst piano player I ever heard."
Wow.
Anyway, the final episode of Series 5 of my poetry podcast will be out on Wednesday.
Who is it?
It's I'll give you a clue. He jousted in the same tournament as King Henry VIII. Yes, it was Sir Thomas Wyatt. You all knew that. Anyway, catch up on any episodes you've missed wherever you get your podcast.
He never
Do-
recovered from that injury, really.
Do listen to it. It's Sir Thomas Wyatt wrote a poem that I use in interviews, the opening line. "They flee from me that sometime did me seek." It's a great description of
Yeah.
showbiz.
Flaky people.
Yeah. Anyway, look, that's it from us. Zoe, thanks. It's always great
Lovely
to have
be
you here.
Lovely to be here.
Happy Pride.
Thank you. I'm off for a cup of tisane.
Yeah? You know, well, that'll be flowing at Pride.
Yeah.
It'll be a tisane fest. So look, if the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next week. Now get out.